Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are celebrating the release, of course, of Disney's The Lion King. So we're going to be doing a tutorial inspired by the character Scar. So I chose the villain. Of course, I had already done a lion makeup tutorial on my channel. If you haven't seen that, I will link it right up here on the top right corner of the screen if you want to check that out. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can create this Scar look. It's pretty simple, and I did grab some inspiration from this picture right here by the beautiful and amazingly talented Instagram account called Blake Designs. I will link her Instagram down below if you want to check it out. I saw that picture and it was absolutely breathtaking, so I grabbed some inspiration from her. I know mine isn't quite as great as hers, but I did my very best, and this is the look that I came up with, and this is what I'm gonna be showing you how to recreate. But before we get started, and as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel before you leave. I'd love to have you. So without further ado, if you want to see how you can create this look as well, go all out in celebration of Disney's Lion King, then please stay on and keep on watching. Alright guys, so we're gonna get started right away, and I've already primed and moisturized my skin, and we're gonna go straight into foundation. I am using my L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour fresh wear, and it's pretty simple. We're just gonna do our foundation as usual. We're not gonna spend a lot of time in here. Basically, our base is gonna stay the same for this makeup look. We're going to apply our foundation as usual, and then we're going to go in with concealer as usual as well. Just add it to the under eyes, a little bit on the forehead, and then just blend it all out with a sponge. I am using the Ecotools sponge for this. And then after concealer is done, we're going to go in with the Pretty Vulgar, the Powder Room Translucent powder, and just use that underneath the eyes to set that concealer on the forehead, and then a little bit on the rest of the face. We want to make sure that base is nice and powdery, if you will, to get started with this makeup look and start getting those lion features onto the skin. Now what we're gonna do right here is I am taking my brow pencil. This is the NYX micro brow pencil, and I am scoring a little bit of the details and just make some guides for myself of where the different colors are gonna fall when it comes to this look. I am starting by kind of like drawing a widow's peak. That's what we're gonna call it. It's kind of like a widow's peak that he has on the forehead, and we want to make sure that the point of the widow's peak, of course, falls right on the center of the forehead, and then just create like two arches on the sides. Then I moved on to the brows, where we want to make those brows look mean. So what we're going to do is create some curves on the where the eyebrows begin. We're just going to go up and draw a little curve upwards, and then just kind of like follow that line to the very end, just so that I know where I want my eyebrows to fall. And then in a little bit, of course, I'm gonna perfect them and make them super nice. And then on the sides of the face, we're gonna draw a line like this, because underneath that line the colors are gonna be all black, and then on top of that they're gonna be more orange. So I just wanted to make that line so that I would know where I wanted those orange colors to stop, and then that black to stop, and of course make both sides of my face pretty symmetrical. And then in the chin area of his face, it is dark white. So I started on the right on the sides of the nose, kind of like where the nostrils stop and the bone of the nose start. Kind of like in that area, I just went in and kind of drew like a raindrop shape, quote unquote, a little bit like that, just so that I would know again where I wanted that area of the face to fall. I wanted to make it symmetrical on both sides of the face, and then just stop at the chin right there, and then underneath the chin we would have all black. So I just wanted to draw in those areas so that I would know and be able to differentiate where all of the different colors would fall. And I did a couple of lines on the sides of the nose, which wasn't really necessary because when you nose contour all of the time, you pretty much already know where those lines fall naturally. And then one in the center of the lips. And then once all of our lines were done, I went in with this color right here from the Morphe and James Charles collaboration palette. And this is the shade Code James. So what I did is grabbed a pretty dense fluffy brush. It's a really dense brush because I really wanted it to pack on the color. Of course, we're making a look that we want to be super generous with color. We want to make those colors really bold, really vivid. So the denser the brush, the more color and pigment that it's gonna grab. So I just started on the sides of the temples. Of course, all of the oranges are going to be in this center area of the face. It kind of looks like a heart. So in that center area, that's where we're going to start placing that color, just a little bit at a time. Keep going back and forth, just going back into the palette, grabbing more of that orange color and stipple it into the face and move it a little bit to make it nice and airbrushed and make it blend in with the foundation as smoothly as possible. Go on both sides of the temples, and I even went into the crease, into the eyelids as well. And as you can see, I started creating those shadows on the lids as well. And that's basically all we're doing here. We're just adding in that color, which is going to serve as the base color for that area of the face. Again, we're just continuing to add that color even to the sides of the nose as well. On the cheeks, start creating that lion shape on the very center of those cheeks. On the sides of the nose, like I mentioned, and even go all the way up to the sides of the nose where it meets with the eyebrows. It is going to take a little bit just because you want to add as much color as possible. You also want to make sure you're blending those colors nicely so that they don't look patchy, or that they don't look that there's areas where you have more color than other areas. So really take your time with this. The more you spend time on this look, the better it's going to look and the more realistic, of course. Then we're going to move on to the next color over, which is called 10% off. And I moved on to a smaller but still super dense brush. And what I did is just started to add a little bit of shadow. So this is a darker color than our previous. So we're just going to go on the outskirts of that heart-shaped area, the center of the face. We're just going to go over the edges and start deepening things out. This is going to be your darker color, so of course the darker colors serve as shadow for the face. And then still using that color, I'm also going to go into kind of like the area where you would normally contour. We're also going to go in that area, deepening things out on the sides of the cheeks, and even going into the cheeks almost to the sides of the nose and creating an arch where the lion's cheeks go. That's a really specific characteristic for a lion, so you want to go into those cheeks and make it curve upwards. Next, we're going to go back into that Code James shade. And we're just going to go back with that dense brush and make sure that all of those edges are nice and blended together. Then we're going to go back to the darker shade, the shade at 10% off. And again, make sure to really make those dark areas really detailed. Go into the sides of the nose, which is going to make it so that nose contour is nice and defined. That's another characteristic of whenever you're doing a lion look. You want to make sure that nose is really contoured and that those cheeks are really prominent. And you're just going to go back and forth with those two colors, making sure they're nice and blended smoothly together. On the forehead, right next to that widow's peak, to make sure that gets that stands out, because of course the top of the widow's peak is going to be black. And then we're gonna go into this banana shade, and we're gonna just filling in the blanks. We're gonna go right underneath the eyes. We're gonna add that shade in there. You're gonna add it to the areas where you want those highlights to be. You're kind of like, it kind of looks like contouring, so you're just going in with a highlighting brush and you're just adding that banana shade all over the under eye, and making sure it's blending nicely with that previous shade. And you want to take your time with this, once again making sure you're really adding pigment into those areas. And then you're also going to take that brush and apply it right in the very center of the forehead. We're just following exactly the area where light naturally hits your face, and of course on the very center of the nose as well, and making sure the sides of that nose are nice and blended nicely. And again, all I'm doing is just going back into that shade and adding more pigment. The more pigment, the more vivid those colors are gonna be, and of course the better the overall look it's gonna be. And now we're gonna go and just mix these two orange shades together. They're called 518 and Rusted. So we're just gonna blend those two together and kind of go in between where that banana shade is and where those darker oranges are, just to add another hue of orange and warmer tones to the skin. I just added it to like the top of the eyebrows, to the like kind of like the temples, and just in between the banana shade and the very first color that we applied. I just wanted to add a different hue of orange to the skin. And then we're gonna go back into that banana shade called Tune. And again, we're gonna go back to the under eyes and really retouch those areas where we had that nice yellow color. It's not a straight up yellow, but I really like the tone that it gave the skin. And now for the fun part. Now in this part I really wish I had some of those like cream body paints, but I don't, so I went back to the archives and back to my traditional paints. I'm actually using black acrylic paint, just the kind that you would get at Michael's, and I am using the kind of brushes that you would use on a canvas, but I am using them on my face canvas. And what I'm doing is just drawing in that widow's peak. My hands were super shaky this morning, so I was kind of like trying to really make sure that I was getting nice and precise lines, all while staying on camera and making sure that I could show you the entire process. And then once those lines were nice and neat, of course, all I did was fill in the lines, fill in that area of the widow's peak. I did get pretty close to the hairline, but I didn't want to get too close to the hairline because then when I would go and wash my hair, that was gonna hurt. I feel like, well, acrylic paint dries up like super stiff, so it's hard to take it out of your hair, which I've done before, and it's not fun to take off. So then after that, I went in with a black shade in the in this palette. It's called Spooky, and with a dense packer brush, I just added it to my hairline to kind of like marry my hairline into that black area of the face. And just stipple in that black. And also I went into the entire area of the widow's peak because number one, that's gonna take off that shiny look to the acrylic paint, and it's also gonna help set it so that it doesn't like smudge off. And again, I'm just blending in my hairline into that black area. And then I switched to a small concealer brush, like the kind that you would use to cut the crease. And I went in, same thing with that black shade. And I'm just doing like kind of like feathering motions, the same motion that you would do when you're drawing on eyebrows, because I wanted to start drawing in the fur of the lion and mimicking that those feather-like strokes to make it look like fur, like a lion's fur. So I went in right on the sides of the temples and just started making like really like feather-like lines. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you want to make sure that they're not too harsh lines, that they really look like feathered and like hair, like what the hair of a lion would look like. And now what we're gonna do is work on those eyebrows. So what we're gonna do is take that NYX micro brow pencil and start shaping those eyebrows as usual. You're really doing your usual eyebrow routine with this. You're going and just following the natural shape of the eyebrows, except for, of course, where the eyebrows start, you're gonna do that same curve that you did at the beginning and go upwards a little bit. That way those eyebrows look mean and fierce. And then at the very point at the top, I'm just gonna make my eyebrows a little bit thicker, because again, you want to go for that mean cartoonish look to these eyebrows. So you want to take your time. I did use a lot of product for this because of course the eyebrows are very prominent in this character. And then when you go up, you're gonna create kind of like, it kind of looks like the Nike arch, like the Nike logo. You want to create that shape, draw it in, and then start filling it in. And then what you're gonna do is take the black eyeshadow and go in with a really tiny detailer brush and just start filling in those areas. That way the eyebrows are even darker than your natural eyebrows. You want to go all black with these eyebrows and just fill them in. Fill in that little Nike logo swoosh that you created where those eyebrows start. You're gonna fill in that area with that eyeshadow, and then of course you're gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. Again, just follow in that natural shape of your eyebrows, make them a little bit thicker than usual. The very point of the eyebrows is going to go a little bit higher than usual. You can make them really rectangular, you can make them really thick, because that's the whole point. That's the shape of the eyebrows for Scar, so that's what we're going to do for our own. And same thing, using a detailer brush, you're gonna go in with that black eyeshadow called Spooky and fill in those areas. That way you're not using your entire eyebrow pencil for that, and also fill in that inner portion of the eyebrow. And then once we're done with eyebrows, we're going to go into the eyeshadow. And for that, we're going to go in first with the shade Code James. It's the very first shade that we used, and we're gonna go ahead and use a fluffy brush and just use that shade all over the crease. And you don't have to be super perfect with this. You can just literally take that shade, brush it all over the crease, and then take a slightly smaller but still fluffy brush and use it on the lower lash line. And then after that, you're gonna go in with the shade No Beans. It's that shade 2 shades over from the previous one. And using that same brush that you just used on the lower lash line, you're just gonna deepen things out on the crease. Again, you don't have to be super perfect. And you're gonna blend those 2 shades together, and same thing, go once again to the lower lash line and marry those 2 colors together. And now you're gonna go into this shade right here called Benny. It's that almost, it's a super dark brown. So what you're gonna do is stipple that all over the lid, and this is gonna be your lid shade. That's all you're gonna use for the lids. You're just gonna stipple that color all over the lid, go back into it a couple of times so you make it nice and dark, and just blend in those edges together so that that color is nice and blended smoothly with the crease. And then we're gonna go back into that black eyeshadow, and we're gonna use a pencil brush and use it really close to the lower lash line. You're just lining that lower lash line so that it looks nice and smoky. And then even take a little bit and apply it to the lid too so that it adds a little bit more depth. And now we're going to add a little bit of white into the waterline using our NYX Cosmetics Jumbo Eye Pencil, and I am using my sponge just to really open up the eye and make sure the color gets nice and in there. And then for liquid eyeliner, we're going to go in with the Pretty Vulgar, the Ink Gel Eyeliner. We're going to use a really small brush and just line the upper lash line. Of course, we're not going to do any wings for this. And now we're going to apply our fake lashes. As you guys know, the bigger the better. And these are my absolutely favorite fake eyelashes. I got them from AliExpress. Then we're gonna do lower lashes using my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, a little bit on the top ones to marry my real lashes to my falsies. And now what we're gonna do is go in with that banana shade in the palette and add a little bit more to the under eye, just to add a little bit more light in there. And I am also gonna go in with a pencil brush to that brow bone. And then with the straight up yellow color in this palette called B, we're going to use that yellow on the inner corners. And that made one eye done, and I did the other off of camera. And when I got back, I realized that I forgot a very important part of the Scar character. Is Scar, of course. So what I did is go in with some white acrylic paint and started to paint that in. I was really struggling to stay precise with that paint and with that brush. I had way too much coffee as per usual, and my hands are usually kind of shaky. I did make a mistake and I kind of like went in too thick with my lines, but then I went back and I fixed it, and so on and so forth. But I think I was able to get it pretty good. I don't know. Again, I wasn't a huge fan of using acrylic paints on my face, but I will invest in those like cream body paints. I feel like they're gonna come in super handy for these kinds of looks. So I just kept using that white acrylic paint and just using that to create the shape of the scar, filling it in, and then even going on top of the eyebrow as well. And as you can see, I got a little bit of white paint to the rest of the eyebrow, which was not my intention, but I did go back and just add a little bit more of the black on top of that to fix that mistake. Then to set that white paint, I went in with the shade Flashback, that straight up white eyeshadow. I went in on top of that to set that paint. And now what we're gonna do is go in with the shade 10% off and just add a little bit of shadow to the edges of that scar and to the sides of the nose a little bit. We want to make sure again that nose contour is nice and defined because it is a really unique characteristic to lions. We want to make sure that looks nice and neat and pronounced. And then I added a little bit way too much to the sides of the nose. I was just kind of curious to see what adding that dark color a little bit further down to the sides of the nose, how that would look like, but then I didn't like it, so I went back in actually with the banana shade to kind of like retouch that area. And I always kind of like struggle to go like back and forth with nose contours. I never know like how far down to the sides of the nose you're supposed to go, so I went in back and forth with that banana shade and that nose contour shade and just kind of like in the end gave in and just left it as is. But I think it turned out pretty good. And then what I did is go in with the black acrylic paint once again and just colored in the tip of the nose. As usual, creating that cat shape to the tip of the nose and filling that area in. I kind of struggle because I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but my nose usually waters when I'm doing my makeup. So getting that color to stay, it's kind of hard. But anywho, after that, I went in with the black eyeshadow and just kind of filled in those gaps and to make sure that that black acrylic paint would set. And then once again, I took that kind of like small concealer brush, the one that we used to create those, that fur, those little like hair-like strokes on the sides of our temples. I did the same thing for the nose. I really wanted to make sure I had those lines in there so that it would kind of look like fur on the nose too. So you don't have to be super precise with that black eyeshadow on the nose for this. And now for the chin portion of this look, we're gonna take some white acrylic paint, and I'm sorry I'm a little bit off of camera for this, but I didn't realize I was falling off of camera and I was way too zoomed in for this, but alas, bear with me. I promise I am really focused on this part. So I'm basically just taking a small brush, outlining that area, and then we're just gonna color in that area using that white acrylic paint. If you have to do more than one coat, which is what I did, you can go ahead and do that, because sometimes the white acrylic paint will be kind of sheer upon first application. I also even took that white acrylic paint and I applied it to my bottom lip. The top lip is gonna be black, so I just colored in the bottom lip with that white acrylic paint. Next, what we're gonna do is go back into that black acrylic paint and just fill in those gaps on the bottom of the nose. And then once again, repeat those hair-like strokes to the top of the nose and just make it look like hairs. And then this is where I went back into that white acrylic paint and just did a second coat. That way that color was nice and smooth and opaque. And now for the final area that we have left to color in, we took that black acrylic paint once again and just filled in that area of the quote-unquote beard. We started coloring that in and I just made hair-like strokes to the bottom towards my neck. So I just wanted to do that. That way it would have like a neat effect of kind of like blending in with my neck or chest. I didn't really want to go too far down my neck with paint, so I just left it like that. And I'm just going into that beard area, once again, just going in with black acrylic paint, making sure the color looks nice and opaque, filling in all of those gaps, and then on the edges just feathering out and doing hair-like strokes on the very edges, even at the top of the beard as well. And I took that black also to the sides of the chin and up the temples a little bit. That way you can marry that black to the top of the face too. You can add as much of those hair-like strokes as you want, whatever feels right, and you're just gonna tell whenever you have enough or if you need more. You're gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. I kind of wish I would have gone a little bit higher with that beard, but alas, I think I just felt a little bit intimidated with that acrylic paint. As you can see, I'm going on the sides of the temples, creating those hair-like strokes. You can even pull your hair back a little bit. That way you get a nice look to how you want it to look. And you can be aggressive with it. You don't have to be super neat and perfect with this look. And now all I'm doing here is coloring in the top lip with black. I am using that black acrylic paint one more time. Just making sure those lips are nice and filled in. And then I just went in with that small concealer brush. And I took that black eyeshadow and I just added a couple of extra hair-like strokes to the sides of the chin. And that was all I did for my makeup. After that, I went into the hair. So I let my hair down and I curled it as usual. All I do for my curls is take a flat iron, grab small sections of hair and just twist outwards, and that's how I get my curls. I put in a nice brown vest to make it look very Lion King-y, whatever that means. And again, I'm just doing some loose curls on the top of my head. That way I can create nice volume to my hair. Again, just grabbing small portions of the hair, twisting outwards, and that's how I always do my hair, and I have been doing it for years and years now. And once I was done with those nice loose curls for my hair, I grabbed a towel, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna go ahead with some black hairspray color and spray it right into my hair. I was kind of scared of doing this. As you guys know, I just recently colored my hair, so I didn't know how it would react with this kind of like spray colors. I'm kind of like scared now to be super like aggressive with my hair, with heat and products and color and anything else. But alas, we're making it for the YouTube video. We're making it for the pictures, you guys. That's what makes it all worth it, you know? So I bared through it. I colored, as you can see, I didn't add too much black to my hair because I didn't want to make it suffer or destroy my hair using this. And with the hair all done, that is it for this video. That was the entire scar look that I created in celebration of the release of the new Lion King. I haven't seen it. I do want to see it. I'm kind of like iffy now to go watch it because I haven't heard a lot of great reviews about it. People have been saying that the CGI wasn't too good. I don't know. I guess the bar was super high with The Lion King. It's one of my absolutely favorite Disney movies. So I feel like the bar was too high. Maybe I'm just gonna like it for the music because of course Beyonce, duh. But anywho, I just wanted to create this makeup look in celebration of the movie. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you thought in that comment section down below. I will list all of the products that I used in this video also in that description down below. Let me know if you have any questions and any suggestions for future videos. I know you guys have been enjoying these more creative makeup transformations in my channel, which I'm so stoked about. I really love doing these creative videos, and I'm glad you're liking them. Let me know what you thought, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for spending some of your time watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Stay cool out there. I know it's a hot weekend. Stay cool. Thank you for being here, and hopefully I will see you right here on my next video. Bye guys.